through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways. And on we'll go. Turn us to thousands, and we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon. Turn us to thousands, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways. And on we'll go.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Tape my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I can't tell if my body belongs to me. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Content, hold your breath and feel the tension. Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is a one-way gate to hell. I wanna taste consumption. Breathe faster to waste oxygen. Hear the children sing aloud. It's music till the wick burns out.
What's up, everybody? Howdy, 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 howdy. Oh. What's up? Hell on Pause. some humor at my own my expense. 45 minutes ago, I was like, I have time to use the restroom and shower before Adam comes on. 30 minutes later, I'm on the toilet in a TikTok trance. Realized the time and stayed up to jump in the shower and found out the hard way my leg was asleep. Ooh. Bayou. Travis, congrats on the new gig, man. Oh my gosh, why pack when I can watch? You can do both. Oh, hello, cat. 1 second. Oh my gosh, Travis. Why not do both, Travis? Put me on your phone. Put it on the bed while you pack. Thank you for the follow. Can't wait to talk about Burnout. Bayou! Let's go. You got something to add to the conversation about Burnout? You absolutely have to laugh about it. That's funny. Both it is. Let's go. I'm still unpacking a little bit for my move. It's a multi-month project. Oh, K-Bot. How's it going? Is it really worth it though? Is it really worth it to kick you while you're down? I am the king of being burnt out, Adam. I have so much to add. Good. It's definitely not fair to kick you while you're down. We'll avoid it unless if someone else brings it up. I feel bad enough as it is. Hey man. Maybe if Ohio State hired me, it would have turned out differently. Probably not. Probably not. It's fine. I'm not salty about it. The Adam diff. It is. I mean, it's the Coach Antor difference, you know? For sure. Oh, ho, ho. Oh, I miss my Coach Antor. Yeah. I miss y'all too. For sure. For sure. We'll give everybody a couple more minutes before we really hop into this topic. I know this one's I think this one's kind of got a lot of things to talk about. Like we got a lot to digest on this topic. Although, and I don't know if I have answers, but maybe someone in chat has some answers that could potentially help some people. It's definitely a situation we're seeing at the player level. I feel like we always feel a little bit of the burnout around this time of the semester, but we're seeing it at the college level or the coaches level as well. Can't wait to talk about hating games. Fair. I'm excited. I miss neighbor Antor. Smithers, dude, we haven't been neighbors in years. Those were good times. Good times for sure. Oh. Man. What's up? What up, King Asylum? It's been a while. How you doing? Where are you at these days? Still down at Arkansas State? Tears every time. Sadly. And man, I tried, alright? It just wasn't meant to be. At least that move wasn't meant to be. As a coach, how do you view burnout? What do you mean view burnout? Like for... I thought I turned that off. That's annoying. View burnout like when a kid is feeling burnt out, or like as a coach, how do you... like for your players? I think it's a serious issue that most coaches recognize, but very few know how to address. Very few, if any at all. I think it's a good sign to put everything either on pause or like really pull back. You deserve not Missouri. That's fair. That is fair. The Adam and Gamer stream. It was. I gotta change my little buttons below my stream. I gotta change this stupid Streamlabs bot, which I cannot figure out how to turn off. But maybe one day it'll be fixed. Maybe. I don't know. Timers. Oh, okay. Here we go. All right. I think I turned it off. We'll see. Get some mods. Dude, I can't afford to pay mods. I only have a couple subs at this point. I got Christine Isaac. Oh, you actually just have like people volunteer to be mods? What? I'm not gonna have someone be a mod in my stream for free. That's weird. What do you think causes burnout on a player level? I think there's different situations. Oh my gosh, Travis, thank you for the sub. Sub with Prime. Let's go. Thank you, Jeff Bezos. Thank you, Travis Yang. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Good luck with your move. You would be an Adam mod? Oh, okay. Maybe we need to talk. Is it just overplaying a game or more than that? Causes burnout. I think it's very much on an individual level. Because it could be a variety of things. It could be just the constant or the constant competition of going for a long period of time and just like being done with that. What we got going tonight. We're talking about burnout. We haven't really started yet, but I did have the first question about how coaches view burnout. I think constantly competing for months at a time with very little break can cause some burnout among players, but it can also be that loss of enjoyment of a game can also be a symptom of something deeper in terms of a mental health situation, like depression. It could be stress, anxiety. It could be a lot of different things, and it's really important to try to realize where that burnout's coming from. Feeling a lot of burnout. Rocket League has become something I can't even enjoy anymore. I treat my esports a lot like a traditional sport. I think what's interesting, and I bring this up in a lot of interviews, that, but no one's talking about still, is that we've taken the activity that a lot of you guys use to escape the stresses of the classroom environment and academics, which was gaming, and we made it another cause for stress without making sure that you guys had another outlet or knew how to healthfully recharge and get rid of that stress and anxiety. And I think that is a significant cause for concern, in my opinion. Grinding a game, putting hours into a game, trying to improve, plus competing at a high level. I need a break from Overwatch for after 6 months. It's important to take a break, but I still stay competitive and try to grind while taking my break. I don't know if that's necessarily a break, but that's fair. Well, we've kind of already started, but let's hop into burnout. We're going to be talking about burnout today. I think it'd be beneficial just seeing who's in chat to start with, maybe player burnout as the discussion, how coaches view that and how we could potentially address it. And then eventually later on in the stream, I want to talk about coaches burnout. Like, coaches are feeling the burn right now, the burnout. And I think it's a really significant concern we need to have, because we're continuing to see coaches leave the space for different jobs, for different reasons. And a lot of it has to come down to some type of burnout situation. And I think that's an important thing to talk about as well. So let's talk about player burnout. Bayoush talked a little bit about it. I'm seeing a lot of it too, of players who are just not interested in playing their game anymore. And I think that's a significant cause for, I think that's a cause for concern and something that coaches need to identify and address. And I think it's also a common thing we feel right around now, starting like early November in the fall, going until the end of the semester. We definitely feel players or Steve players who are starting to feel burnt out. And then the same in the spring when we talk about like early April starting and going into the summer. it's at this point, I'm in my third year, and it's kind of it's a common thing I see almost every semester. And it might be a little bit more pronounced now as these games get older, in my opinion, as well. Like Overwatch has seen better days. And I'm seeing and hearing about players across the space who are just totally hanging up their hat on Overwatch. And no discussion about being burned out, just discussion of not wanting to play anymore, not enjoying it. Haven't enjoyed it for a while. I think I have a lot of concerns with Overwatch right now. I feel a ton of pressure to constantly improve as a player, and to be honest, I don't feel the desire for it anymore. I mean, it's important for you to realize, to recognize that, and it's important to have that conversation with your coach. And I think the question always becomes, and will continue to be, is like, how do we address that? There's going to be programs who can only need to have you as a player, or can only offer you scholarship if you're a player. And I think that's going to factor into that type of discussion. There's other programs and coaches who are willing to adjust that and give opportunities outside of playing, to participate in the program. And that's important. Travis, brings up a good point here and says D1 basketball player isn't going to practice and then after practice going to play basketball for fun. That's a good point. I mean, creating a separate relationship between grinding and practicing versus what you do for fun, I think could work for some people. King Asylum, I definitely think having a psychologist meet with players is a good idea to help them give tips on how to deal with stress, given the fact that gaming is no longer that outlet. I would agree with that. I think the problem right now is that most programs don't have access to that psychologist. There are counselors usually on a campus that could help with some of those conversations, but and maybe that's what programs should be doing, is reaching out to those counselors and maybe doing some type of session where a counselor comes in and talks about stress and being an outlet. I've said it before and I'll say it again, Dr. BZRO. No other NCAA sport plays year round. If we actually had an off season, it could help players and coaches. I agree with that. I think we're looking at the program right now. We're looking at taking a complete semester off in the spring for our Overwatch team from competing. We're experiencing a lot of burnout. Quite a few players not interested in the game at this point. And just not feeling in a place to be ready to compete for the spring. So we've had a discussion about just not competing in the spring, but just doing practices and more casual player development. Could be a potential. The amount of times I've thought about retiring this year is concerning. That's true. That is very true. There's a loss of purpose. Yeah. Scholarship has stopped me from retiring. That's fair. Travis Yang, my quick 2 cents before I go AFK again. I notice a big contributor to player burnout often results from competition overload. Example, being an RL team signed up for 5 different conferences. I laugh, but this is like the reality of most programs. They may finish one, but still have 2 to 3 more. It's hard mentally because you may make playoffs for one, but not the other. And then it's hard to judge placements and value, or attach a value to them and determine if progress is being made. This often affects motivations. I agree that right now, the way that we're going about competition in the space is completely not sustainable. I think the idea of competing in 5 different leagues is completely ridiculous in my opinion. I mean, I'm coming at Aquinas. We did like 3 leagues a semester, and I think that's still too much. When I came into Florida Southern, we chose 1 league for each game in the fall semester, and it felt so much more manageable. It was still a lot. We had 40 something matches total across our program. It still felt like a lot, but it's a lot more sustainable than the 99 I had last fall at Aquinas, which is crazy. It's crazy. And it doesn't help. I think it's just too much. I don't play serious League unless it's scrims or dedicated solo queue requirements. It's really helped me continue to enjoy League. That's a good point. Yeah, okay. Hey, Travis, are you at AQ right now? Yeah. Oh, that's a question for, yeah. Burnout is everywhere. Staff is burned out. Students are burned out. We're just doing too much, but the norm is to push every tiny edge that you can. It's just not sustainable. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. It kind of comes down to who decides which is the best league to do, or like the Premier League or whatever it is. Because at Aquinas, my perspective was I need to be in as many leagues as possible so that I get the name of our program out as best as I can. And not being in certain leagues lends itself to being forgotten on the national stage. And for me, that was important because it made recruitment a lot easier. So, but it probably hurt retention. So I think there's a question. What up, Coy? I think there's a question and a value or a weighing conversation there that needs to happen with the coach to decide. AQ Overwatch competed in 4 leagues this fall. That is so crazy. Like, take a step back. Like, yes, it's the norm in Collegiate, but take a step back. Like, how is that sustainable? Now think about that team, your Aquinas Overwatch team, and tell me that everything is great from a mental health standpoint, a burnout standpoint, team cohesion standpoint. If you can tell me that it's all good and fine and dandy in the neighborhood, I'll think about it. It's not. Okay. Tommy and I are watching The Great Gatsby for class right now. Oh, that's fun. The only comparison I think is European soccer. A top Euro club will play in 4 leagues but have 30 players on the roster to swap through. That's a good point. Gonna head out. See you, Bayoush. Thanks for stopping by, man. Yo, you in Michigan. Wait, Coy's back in Michigan? Going to Denver this weekend. Oh, snap. Welcome back. Thank you for the follow, Squirtus MV07. Thank you, Coy, for the follow. AQ League played in 2 leagues, and I was exhausted afterwards. Yeah, I think what also adds to this conversation when we talk, a coach is deciding which leagues to go into. I think there also needs to start. We need to start having a conversation of how important player development is and developing talent versus recruiting in talent, and if being in that many leagues is conducive to developing talent, or if it just doesn't allow it. Oh, College, what up? I am so ready for winter break. I think everyone is. If you're in 3+ leagues, you seemingly would make it for 3 separate teams. Have 2 WOW teams, one in the premier season and another in your second. Makes it competitive for all the players while not loading too much on players. Yeah. I know we're talking collegiate, but I have never been more burned out in my life when it came to this most recent PGL major. Okay, Counter-Strike has the same problem, all right? There's millions, there's so many different tournaments and leagues. Like, it's insanity. 18-hour days of prep. Wow, that's a lot. Yeah, I'm seeing the worst burnout in my program for our Overwatch team. Now, I've been less involved with the Overwatch team than the other 2 teams, so that might be a part of it. But holy cow. But to be honest, I'm the least grinder on the team, and there are AQ players who wanted it more. That's fair. Okay. That's fair. That's also another thing about the coaching thing that coaches need to balance, is that different players have different goals and aspirations. I think that's an important piece of the puzzle as well. Really good point. This semester was tough as I worked a split shift, worked from 10 to 3, then picked up my kid and then back to practice from 5 to 10 at night, as we have to split shift practice with only 12 computers and 30 students. Holy cow. Huh. I kind of do this balance shift too, or a split shift, but I live a block from campus. So like sometimes I'll work at home in the morning. Sometimes I'll work at work, and then I'll come back for lunch, and then I'll either go back or work from home, and then I'll go to practice after dinner. For me, in my mind, My house is basically an extension of campus. Like, that's just how I just like kind of live on campus, if you will. I walk to work or whatever, but it's kind of like a back and forth of where do I need to be. And my home office just happens to be at my house, technically off campus. Southwind HS. This was my first season as full-time head coach director instead of student leader, but playing in structured leagues like NECC versus doing a million tournaments definitely helped to reduce scheduling stress at least. Still had a little burnout around October. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've found schools. I like some of those leagues. For us, it's Nace. Like for me, I always put Nace as like the top one, and we'll do Nace. We'll do the developer leagues, and then it's Nace. But I've had programs who like NECC better, ECAC better. This man walks to work. Must be nice. Yeah, dude, it's like 75 degrees outside right now. And yeah, I live like a block from campus. Walking to work. Imagine not having a 12+ hour plane commute. Shaking my head. Yeah, dude, I love walking to work. At Aquinas, I was like 4 blocks from campus, which was kind of far for walking, but I had an electric scooter. Here, I'm just walking distance, which is so nice. Bro, did you play in the Nace playoffs? We approved the Nace playoffs. So the problem with Nace playoffs is that they were all planned to have the finals the same weekend last weekend. League of Legends, we did not foresee the new preseason patch coming out when it did. So the League of Legends schedule was supposed to be spread out over 2 weeks. And then the new preseason patch dropped. And instead of having players play on the new patch one day after it came out, we opted to push it to be the next week, every day that week, which was insanity. Why are we playing multiple best ofs? That's exactly what I just explained. It was like the only option. And during preseason, we didn't know that preseason would drop at that point. Maybe I should have known that based on years past, but when you're in August and looking at 5 or 6 different game titles and schedules for all of them, like I didn't even think about the preseason patch or when it could come out. Yeah, it was unfortunate, but the solution we came up with is what all the coaches, well, all of them except one of the coaches the playoff teams agreed to as being like the best option. I found out that ECAC was a little hectic and wasn't a fan of the no division, so now we are joining NECC also and using that as our varsity schedule for most titles, and then ECAC for Academy. This will be great, but we'll add more to the plate next semester. That's a lot. That's a lot for sure. I've heard good things about ECAC and NECC. ECAC, I mean, personally, I like Nace better. From a sustainability standpoint, they just make more sense from like a program, from my decision as a program director. But everyone has different factors that go into those decisions. Nace is so damn expensive compared to the other two. ECAC was like $1,200 or $1,300. Nace is $2,500. Okay. NECC is, I don't know. I can get in both of those for the price of Nace. That's fair. ECAC is $1,500. Okay. Yeah, I got the whole pitch of ECAC. It was interesting because CSMG was the one pitching ECAC because they have some type of business agreement where the CSMG is pushing the ECAC as like a business or as like a sales group. It was very odd. I don't know. It was very odd. NECC is interesting. They have, so I think what's important to note is that Nace is the only one where members have a say and vote in things, like an actual vote. And say NECC has a board of directors, quote unquote, but they're basically a consultant group that has no final say technically. The NECC is also a athletic conference that's failing. Like from a traditional athletic standpoint, all their members except 4 have now left, and it's kind of spiraling. And esports is their like thing that they're trying to hold on to. And for me, that's a very alarming red flag. Will Nace get a CLOL playoff berth? No, because right now Nace, well, so that specific topic has been brought up about potentially in the future, but for next spring, Nace is running, similar to the fall, a JV league, where if the only players who can play in the Nace Star League version cannot play in CLOL, because it's considered a JV league. But there is talk about a CLOL playoff berth conversation for future years, just not this year. It's not entirely certain how we would divide that up, because we'd only get one playoff berth, and like how many teams are going to compete in Nace for that one playoff berth. It'd be difficult. And are we limited to 16 teams? I don't know. All things that we've talked about. Only reason I don't take Nace a little seriously. I mean, right now we're operating with a licensing agreement that says we're the JV league. Same with the fall. Same thing. Good morning. What up, Chew? Did you just wake up from your nap? Southwind, we signed up for the NECC free tier in exchange for not being scholarship prizing eligible, which I did because most of our Val players picked up the game in October. I figured it'd be development year. We won our division though, so it was a mistake on my end for sure. That makes sense. Coach Antor, what up, Prof? Prof Palm plays. Morning. No, I ate Arby's and helped the Science Center today. I just like saying good morning. Nice. Science Center's been doing a lot of stuff with esports. Not so much about Burnout, but do you see NCAA esports emerging? Maybe it's Nace. What do you mean by NCAA of esports? I don't think any body could come in and be that unless if it was the developers specifically or the NCAA itself. Nace is probably the closest to it, but they have so few regulation for their members. Jimmy John's or Subway? Oh, easy Jimmy John's, bro. If you throw Jersey Mike's in there, I might have to go Jersey's Mike's. Damn, now I want Arby's. D1 Esports, that's what we want. Subway ingredients are giga low quality. NCAA buys Riot. I think what's more likely, either the NCAA gets involved and purchases licensing from some of those developers to run leagues, or one of the licensing companies like Playfly works with the NCAA to they themselves license an official NCAA tournament. We can't be friends anymore. I'm sorry. Your parents own Quiznos. Okay, Quiznos wasn't even in the list. All right, Quiznos has the toasted game on point. I actually really like Quiznos, but there aren't many around. You are now my enemy. Firehouse subs. The one time I had Firehouse subs, everything felt soggy to me. I wasn't a big fan. I don't know. NCAA has stated publicly they have no interest in esports. I think they've stated publicly that they've tabled the conversation of esports. Yeah, I don't think they've stated publicly they have no interest. I think they've stated publicly that they're tabling the conversation to a later date. That was in 2017. Yeah. Kurt Melcher and the company he was at or is at, Intersport, helped run that research. A NAIA school I'm close to is talking with their athletic conference about making esports a team sport. I just did it at Aquinas before I left. Lamar at Lords and I really pushed it, but all the coaches got the WAC, the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference, to approve esports as a team sport in their conference over last summer. They just had their first fall championship, Rocket League. And then they'll do League of Legends and Overwatch in the spring. They have a CLOL berth. So yeah, we're seeing traditional athletic conferences adopting esports. I think at a certain point we'll need to see some more NCAA conferences get on that board or on that side, and then that will encourage more athletic directors and hopefully the NCAA to continue pushing or exploring the idea. What conference will be the first to pick up Halo? What conference or with what league? I think some people have been talking about Collegiate Halo. There's a lot of talk happening, but no one's jumping on yet because they want to see if teams actually push Halo teams. From my perspective, I picked up Halo this past weekend and played a lot of it, and it felt really good. It felt really good. Like, it's the first Halo game I've enjoyed since Halo 3. But the question is, are college kids and high school kids playing it? And I have not seen that. It's a reason to keep grinding OW for me. Yeah, for sure. It's hard because if we're wanting to become a path to pro, we need to absorb an already situated amateur scene of those games, which taking things like money away will piss people off. Yeah, that's fair. I don't really know. We're seeing a little bit of both. I'm not sure where the path to pro lands in, say, 5 to 10 years, but right now it's kind of a mix, a little bit of both. Collegiate's kind of fighting a little bit. I mean, the benefits of going through the amateur scene are so low. Like, when we talk about, like, pay and stuff, like, Collegiate has gotten an opportunity there, and to earn a degree. So, I mean, College Halo League will be happening this spring. Coach Cody. Yeah, Coach Cody's doing a Collegiate Halo League. There's a couple other conferences who are talking about Halo. I think we'll see. We'll see something. I don't know if it'll be big or not. We'll see. Also going to be interesting if NCAA does try to enter, how do they try to change things, and what do they adapt to for esports, as they have been very inflexible in the past with only just now adopting NLI deals. Yeah, I think that's going to be the big question. If they're going to adopt it as a sport, that comes with a lot of regulation. That I think with the NLI stuff passing, it opens the door, the possibility, or the door a little bit wider to the possibility, but we'll see. Students in my program were already asking about Halo. Oh, that's awesome to hear. What up, Mega? You got the Florida State esports president in the chat. Meta is part of the problem when it comes to burnout, in my opinion, especially players having to basically relearn the game every few weeks. That's a good point. I can't stay today because finals week. Hey, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. I wasn't a meta slave, but didn't feel as burnout as some of my peers on the Russian language grind. Oh my gosh, why do you take that language? It's fascinating. So let's get back to burnout. What are my coaches seeing in their programs when it comes to player burnout? What are the players experiencing that hasn't been said already? I think for me, it's a lot of like Overwatch players not feeling their game anymore. We got a couple players who are just asking for breaks. Imagine playing goats in Overwatch for over a year. Yeah, meta. It changed. Definitely changed. Let's throw in the conversation about coaches getting burned out. Andy's leaving because of burnout. True. Wait, which Andy? Biggest issue for us was being in a Swiss style bracket, not a division based on skill. Yeah. We've implemented, and Nace, we implemented the varsity division being round robin. But yeah, I don't know. There's such a vastly different skills. Like, skills are just vastly different. I have been very proactive reaching out to players prior to finals, asking if there's need for a break. About 30% of my players said they need time off to focus on exams and finals. That's awesome. I think that's a really good best practice, or a good practice for all the coaches, is to, if you can't do one-on-one meetings throughout the season, like, start doing them now, or like just check-ins, player check-ins. If you don't see your players outside of practice, reach out, have those conversations. Get a feel for what's going on in their lives and what's going on in their heads before it becomes a conversation of them wanting to quit. Would you say the stress of being overworked, underappreciated is what is causing coaches, directors to burn out? Oh, absolutely. I don't think it's an underpaid situation. I think we can use that, but in my opinion, pay is such a temporary fix It's like putting duct tape on something. I think overworked and underappreciated are much stronger problems. And for me, those are, at least the underappreciated can be fixed. With I think higher ups of coaches need to just learn and have conversations and check-ins with their coaches and their directors. That is not happening. That was a big massive reason why I left Aquinas, was the underappreciated, or at least the under communicated with. I mean, they could appreciate me, but that wasn't being communicated. And I think that's a really important piece of the puzzle. It can feel like a silo. You can feel like you're on your own silo, sitting in the lab, late nights, no one's around, overworked. If you're the director coaching 3 games, it's a lot. It's a lot. For us, coach, burnout is huge due to a lack of support, etc., and feeling like your work isn't valued as much. Yeah. I mean, for example, let's look at basketball. This is the case at Aquinas and Florida Southern and most people. Like, I'm in the athletic department. I'm a part of athletics. But you can bet your bottom dollar no one is coming out to my matches and rooting on my team or asking how we did last night in our match. But they're all talking about basketball the day after. Like, that type of situation can really grind down someone's drive. Excuse me. And that hurts. I always give players breaks if they ask. It's just difficult because when I have one kid who wants to grind every day and just never feels burnout, and then another gets burned out after just playing scrim, so it's hard to find the right balance. I think that's a good point. Yeah. Every player is going to have different goals, different aspirations with that. I think it's our job as coaches to kind of step in and set boundaries there. And sometimes it's kind of convincing the kid who feels burned out after one set of scrims, like, hey, let's push a little harder. And it's convincing the people who want to play 10 hours a day that, like, hey, this isn't probably sustainable. And let's pull it back, or find things that player can do on their own. I see younger players in Overwatch leaning toward Valorant as an outlet for burnout goals for the future. Future of Overwatch is unclear and players feel lost because they want to reach the highest level. When you don't know if the highest level will exist in a year, what are you working for? That's a great question. Seconded on overworked, underappreciated, even in a professional environment. Yep. I appreciated you. Hey, I appreciate that. The problem wasn't the lack of appreciation from students. You guys were awesome. And you guys made it so that I wanted to be there longer, or as long as I was, to be honest. So yeah, it's not a lack of appreciation from students. We are under the athletic department, and sometimes I've gone weeks without hearing from my AD. Welcome to the club, man. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. It's a lot. I've had a lot better of experience in my new role than I did at my last one, but I had an assistant AD that I reported directly to, but you'd think like the AD would still want to talk. Like, I heard from my AD a handful of times over 2 years. And 2 of those times were to ask me to remove a post on social media. So that's fun. I think a misunderstanding of what coaches, directors' roles are leads to burnout. I make it very clear to everyone that 95% of my job has nothing to do with strategic coaching. Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. I don't know if our higher-ups necessarily understand that. But if that's the messaging you can get out and convince people of, I think that's really important. I think burnout can be alleviated with motivation. Thoughts, not to say you push people. Yes, I think burnout can be helped with achievable goals to an extent. I would agree with that. I think the moment I felt a lot of burnout at Aquinas was the moment after I I achieved the goals that they had set for me. And then I spent 6 months trying to figure out what I was supposed to be doing next. And not getting any direction as to what my next goals should be. I think that might be a good point there. I've actually been talking with some of the traditional athletes about what's going on and vice versa. Oh, you probably got some good insights there. My current title is director/head coach of 9 titles. Luckily, I have a part-time league coach, but I have to pick and choose what titles I put more time into and then still have time to recruit. That's a lot, but I feel you on that one. Feel you very much on that one. Right now, I have a alumni helping to coach Rocket League. I had a senior helping to coach/lead the team for Overwatch, and then I've been coaching the varsity and academy League of Legends teams. And I'm finding out that the Overwatch team wasn't in as great of a mental place as I thought they were. And that's leading to some burnout conversations and some retention problems when it comes to the program, not the school. Yeah. There's always goals they say and things they respond to, and they're not always the same. That is very true too. That is very true. Like, they can say, hey, we want to see you win this many games. But in reality, they usually don't even care if you win. They just want to make sure you get your new students. We are somewhat a part of athletics in that we on the athletics website and have athletic scholarships. However, I talked to the AD exactly 2 times in working here for 2 years. More directly, I speak with the head of our engineering and IT programs, and while he talks with me once a week, he doesn't always know what to do with certain athletics-related questions. Yeah, I think you're probably not alone in that experience. At least you have somebody who has some political say on campus, the head of engineering and IT programs, that listens to you and helps you. I think there's a lot of folks out there that don't have somebody else on campus to work with on that. Thank God I have a GM player this spring for OW to help lead the team. There you go. There you go. When I start looking into director positions, I think one contingency will be the ability to hire part-time coaches for each title. I would hope so too. Did someone say retention problems? Yes, I did. I think most people have that, Noah. I think the problem becomes, like, how do you decipher who is BSing you in an interview and who is actually going to follow through with that? I think that becomes a problem. I just sequestered 4 titles as our varsity titles, overseen directly by me, and made everything else club titles run directly by students. Was getting to be way too much. That's a good idea. Even though then I just added positions for student assistants for Val and for OW because my background is league. Oh, it's probably a decent way to look at it and go about it. Who are you being interviewed by? Bring it to the negotiation table. Who are you being interviewed by? Depends. Sometimes it's the athletic director. Sometimes it depends on what part of the process you're in. Usually they'll start with like an HR interview. It's pretty generic. And then you'll move into like an athletic director or an assistant athletic director. Sometimes it's a panel of like athletic director, director of admissions, dean of students, another coach, like a panel. It depends. Empowering team captains helps so much to stop coach director burnout. Captains help set up scrims, run practices, coordinate competitive matches, and more. Yeah. Nice mock shirt. Thank you. Let's go. Go Mox. Let's go Mox. Gotta go make dinner. Thanks for stopping by, Squirt. I appreciate it. Thank you for the follow, for the subscription. Love the convo. Did you end up putting these up on YouTube? I did. They're on my YouTube page. I think you can just search Coach Antor and you probably show up. But they're up there. Directors have too much on their hands to coach multiple titles effectively. That is effectively true. But most departments that esports is housed under do not see eye to eye in the importance of hiring part-time coaches or hiring game coaches, which is where the problem becomes. Me trying to hire a coach this semester went me asking, can I hire this person? They say yes, but he needs to have his own LLC and a full invoice he can give to them each week. And while this doesn't seem like a lot for someone who just coached Val as a secondary income source, it is a huge ask for them to do all that and led to me not being able to hire them. Yeah, that's a lot. HR is oftentimes the stopping or the gatekeeper on hiring part-time coaches. What Boise State has found to be effective, and I know St. Ambrose University uses as well, is a website called Medify, where you can basically you can pay money to get credits to then use to hire coaches on an hourly basis. Not ideal, but it's an option that some HR departments might approve. So, Medify. Try that. How is this copyright free? Oh, this is a remix of it. That's weird. Okay. I found that was better for like one-on-one rather than team coaching. Yes. Oh, one-on-ones. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Not many programs have budgeting for one-on-one stuff, but it's an option. I don't really need to be paying someone to do one-on-one coaching. I need to be paying someone to do coaching for the team, because I'd still be having to coach the team, which I think is the problem that a lot of us need to solve. Should be there consistently. I completely agree. Completely agree. Wish I had a school card that I was allowed to use for something like that. Same. Actually, I have the numbers to do that type of stuff, but I don't want to go ahead and do it without the permission of the higher ups in case if I get in trouble. Ever reached out to hourly ex-pro coaches? Yes, we've done it at Florida Southern. I just got yelled at for my school card today. Yeah, I get yelled at when I don't have the receipts on time or something. At Aquinas, it was like, you do you, just stay under your budget for the year and under your credit card limit. No one was really asking questions, and I turned in my receipts and had the documentation, and it was all good. Ever reached out to? Yeah, we did do the hourly ex-pro coaches. Some of them, I think it's a lot of hit or miss on some of those. Like, some are really good at coaching, some are just not good at coaching. And those ex-pros can be expensive too. We use Zoo, Maryville Lowell coach, 5-6 times a year. So helpful and surprisingly cheap. Yeah, he's got some really good rates. I didn't make the payment reports for it because they never told me how to do it in the system. Yeah, see, it's always their fault. I have the same experience where, like, someone will email me out of the blue, it seems like, and they're like, you didn't fill out this X form. It was due 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, no one told me about this form. And then it becomes my fault. And I'm like, how is this my fault? No one told me. I have a budget meeting where I'm going to ask for a card, so that should be fun. I'm going to ask on Thursday. So we'll have to reconvene next week and see how it went. Can someone reach out to him through Twitter or his socials? Is this... What are you talking about? Are you talking about Zoo? Can anyone reach out to him? Zoo? Who are you asking about? Oh, you can reach out to him on socials, or I know Zoo was already talking or replying to some of Riley's stuff about their coaching position. But he also has a page on Medify, and you can rent hours through Medify for him too. Just DM on Twitter or find him on. Oh, whoops. He has a Discord that is really useful as well for asking him questions. Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, fascinating. We used Gate, who was an ex-pro League of Legends player last spring before I was here at Florida Southern. He was expensive, like stupid expensive. Like he was making more per month than most collegiate directors were making. Like what most collegiate directors were making per month. Like he was making more working remote 10 hours a week. Like he was crazy. Just wanted to say thank you and chat for being so open and accommodating. Hey, I appreciate you stopping by and thanks for being a subscriber. I got some great advice from some amazing people like Kathy with launching my programs here, and I'm super grateful. That's awesome. Good. Who are we talking about? Gate. Gate is who we played, or who we coached who coached the league team last spring. All right, bet. Getting into collegiate consulting then. Oh God. Makes me wonder what they have to offer sometimes. Same. When your players are saying they're not very good or that wasn't a great experience or whatever, like there's a problem. Especially when they're like the highest paid collegiate League of Legends coach out there, I think, on a per month basis. But we also do the same thing. We did the same thing with Overwatch coaches, and it was much more reasonable. Like 50 hours or $50 an hour, which is reasonable and still a pretty decent pay for an esports coach. So, yeah, I think there's options there. So I think sometimes I think I'm just lucky at Rockford because my players are just nuts at the game. Yeah, that's fair. I was lucky at Aquinas. My players were just nuts at the game. It is what it is. But you have to keep those players interested. And you have to keep them motivated. I think that can be just as difficult as developing talent sometimes. I think consensus right now from a burnout perspective is we're all doing too much. And maybe there's better ways to do less. It seems like that's the common occurrence. Shout out to my main tank former open division player who has OWL friends and gets Muma to come coach our team for free. Okay, let's not brag, all right? Let's not brag about it. A little jealous. We have a top 100 tank or top 500 tank at our school, which is a blessing and a curse sometimes, but he's a good kid. What other topics, what other conversations you guys want to have at this point? We can keep talking about burnout. I mean, he is both blessing and a curse, to be clear. That is fair. I feel that. Oh, how's everybody's semester ending up? We're kind of done with competition at this point. I think Bo and I would talk about therapy sessions about the job every land. You know, that's a good point. I think this sparked the idea of the burnout conversation is that we saw Bo, aka Josh Sides from Winthrop University, announcing that he was leaving Winthrop. And he talked about his personal, making a personal decision, and he distanced himself, or he had to distance himself from relationships with friends and family because of how much time he had to put in at Winthrop. I think that's a real concern and a real anecdote that's happening across the space. I mean, we saw Fletch leave IWU at when that happened. We saw Chad Schmeltz just announce he's leaving Harrisburg, or he left Harrisburg. So Greg Adler left UTD. I mean, burnout's real, folks. Trying to beat UH one time after playing them 4 times in top 8 this year as a team in Val, so we can win a championship. That is how I would like the semester to end. Good luck with that. You got this. He's been holding it in since after Gateway. Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it. We're seeing a lot of burnout. And I think we also, as directors and coaches, need to realize that working 60, 70, 80 hours a week is not sustainable. And it's not beneficial to our students. It's not beneficial to us. It's not beneficial to our institutions. I think it's really important that we recognize that, and at least have a serious, honest conversation with ourselves about that very fact. because far too many times I'm seeing coaches who are like, I'm working 60 hours a week. Or I'm working 60 hours a week. I feel terrible. I'm like, yeah, you do. My sleep schedule is so screwed because all recruits wake up at 6 p.m. Yeah. Well, at least that's the same time as practice, so you can lump them all together. But yeah, we have to have honest conversations with ourselves and kind of set our own boundaries. And our bosses aren't going to set those boundaries because they don't understand esports. So if it means like coming into work late or working from home 1 or 2 days, like have a conversation with your boss about that, because that could be the difference between feeling absolutely burned out and needing to leave and creating a sustainable situation for you as a coach. Recruit meetings just mean I miss a scrim and have meetings with a bunch at the same time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, be strategic with that. I think what I usually do is, like, if I have recruiting I needed to do, I get it done like 3 to 6, because that's when kids are out of high school or out of class, and then I can hop into practice. Yeah, also what a director's job entails too. Yeah, that conversation definitely needs to happen. I think a lot of schools, there's a lot of schools who aren't ready to actually like put into motion what a director's role should be. But, and like you're saying, athletic directors don't have to deal with club sports as well, or intramurals. I think that's fair. But I also think it's fair that well, I think it's just a matter of fact that colleges aren't ready to put resources behind some of their programs that would better align with what you're describing. And we need to recognize that, but we also need to recognize, like, if that's the case, then this X needs to change or Y needs to change. Is there a need to have a fall, winter showcase, spring, summer tournaments for the same game, or is it all becoming normalized? My first year at Aquinas, we did a winter tournament, and we were doing summer stuff. But I've gotten to the point where, like, I'm not even entertaining the fact of winter competition. Now, I don't have a hyper competitive team in anything. Like, I'm not a national champion or going to become a national champion in League of Legends this year. So the goals of my program, especially this year, are a little different than someone else's. But the idea of, like, competing over the winter and then competing over the summer, I've lost all interest in doing that after the first year of coaching at Aquinas. We still do some things over the summer, like a casual league or like once a week optional VOD reviews or something. But like, we're not doing a full on league over the summer usually. And we're not doing multiple practices a week. But some teams do, and some teams think that's an option and something that they would like to do. I haven't found it to be a sustainable or a smart solution with the students that I've had. So I don't know. It's a good question. Every director kind of has to make the decision for themselves and their program and their players with that. But for me specifically, like winter, there's no point. We'll be ready for the spring. My players are playing video games anyway, so over the winter, so like I don't need to mandate it. All right, well, we're about at time here. I've got pizza party with my Rocket League team in about an hour. I gotta go pick up those pizzas. But I want to extend a thank you to everyone. Oh, we got one more here. Yeah, only one of our teams will have like regular scrims over the winter, and that's Val, because they want to win a national championship. Yeah, if your players are wanting it and they're asking for it and they can handle it, and you know as a coach they can handle it, do it. You just ordered pizza too? Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna end stream here in a second, but I wanted to say thank you to everybody for stopping by, having the conversation. This is an important conversation and an important reflection to continue to have as coaches. Because kind of you got to keep a tab on these things, especially burnout, like pretty consistently. Hawks and stuff stopping by. Thank you for your first time at chat viewer here. Now I want pizza. See what you did. I'm sorry. None of my teams have mandatory practices after this week, but some teams are volunteer practicing for themselves. There you go. I love that. Like, if they want to do it, let them do it. But keep a tab on that burnout, because it's a real problem. These streams are super helpful. I'm glad you think that, Southwind HS. I appreciate you stopping by. I appreciate everyone for stopping. Oh my gosh, I'm throwing stuff now. All right, I appreciate everyone for stopping by. You guys are all awesome. If you have any questions about anything or ever want to chat, just ping me on Twitter, Discord, whatever. I enjoy having these conversations. I love hearing your guys' input, and I love talking about this stuff. If you guys have something you guys want to hear about or talk about in the coming weeks, let me know. Again, I want to take as I do every stream, I want to shout out the amazing Andrew Lemon Vinavich, who did all my stream overlays. They're really cool. I'm a big fan. And I will talk to you guys next week. I'm planning on still doing this next week. I might take a week off or 2 weeks off for Christmas. But we'll see. I know I'm traveling at some point. And then I'm in a Halo charity tournament with the college coaches. I don't know if college coaches have seen that, but there's a Halo tournament the 28th and 29th. You guys should definitely be a part of. I will be streaming it if I'm allowed and if I'm picked. It should be fun. I'm absolute terrible trash, but it should be an entertaining time. Should I draft you? Are you a coach or are you a captain? Dude, I'm going to be wearing sweatbands and I'm going so hard, so sweaty for Halo. I'm not good. I placed plat. I'm going to work my way up a little bit, but it should be fun. Cameron would burn himself out, so make sure to take breaks. Yes. Just saying I'll be at Hollywood Studios on Christmas Day. That's dope. That's super cool. Well, thank you again, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. Good luck the rest of the semester. And try to avoid that burnout. All right? If you need to talk to someone, reach out. Chat. Talk to your students. Make sure you got tabs on them. You're gold 5. All right. Cool. Let's have the most fun team. Actually, let's get carried. Go draft someone who's really good first, and then maybe me after. All right? See you guys.